And a good Thursday morning to you, Central Georgia. Thanks for tuning in here on 13 WMAZ Plus for a look at your extended forecast. So we're going to go over everything that's in store as we head into the end of the work week, into the beginning of Memorial Day weekend, when our next really good shot at rain is looking like it's going to be. And also coming up at 11 a.m. at the end of this extended forecast, we will be tossing over to the official release of the NOAA 2025 Atlantic hurricane season forecast. So we've already gotten the Colorado State forecast, which we can go back and touch on a little bit before we get into that. So that release will be coming up at 11 a.m. and we will be streaming that here on 13 WMAZ Plus. So make sure to stay tuned to the very end, or go get yourself a snack if you get tired of me talking throughout the entire thing, and be sure to tune back in at 11 a.m. So let's go ahead and start it from the top. We have one thing to cover in terms of some new data. So we had our fair share of severe weather yesterday morning, and that has resulted in one confirmed tornado so far from the National Weather Service. This tornado did touch down up in northeast Spalding County, just to the south of the town of Luella. So you see Griffin there in the bottom left of your screen. If you go up to the northeastern end of the county, that's where this tornado did touch down. It crossed over the southern tip of Henry County, just in the southern portion of Locust Grove, but it did impact some neighborhoods on the outskirts of Locust Grove. And then it moved over into Butts County, just around the Jenkinsburg area, before it finally dissipated as it got into the city limits of Jackson, Georgia, up in Butts County. And it did officially get a rating of an EF1 tornado, so 90-mile-per-hour wind gusts were what we had with this confirmed tornado. And the track did go for a little more than 10 miles. In fact, 10.5 miles was the track across 3 different counties. Now, obviously, this is an area where all 3 of these counties, Spalding, Henry, and Butts counties, do kind of overlap, but it also goes along the I-75 corridor. You can see that 75 icon right there, going over into Spalding County and then eventually up into Henry County. And then all of you probably know where Locust Grove is, Tanger Outlets, where traffic starts to get backed up when you're driving up north to Atlanta. So that's the only confirmation of a tornado we have so far with yesterday's severe weather. I imagine in the northern portion of the state, they're going to do their damage surveys up there over the next day or two, because there were a lot more warnings up there around the metro Atlanta area, north of the metro Atlanta area. That's where the severe weather threat was greatest. But this confirmed tornado, it did in fact sprout some warnings across many of our central Georgia counties. Of course, they started warning it where it was getting a good signature of rotation, and that's where it did touch down. And then it moved over these 3 counties just to the northwest of us. But down here at the bottom of your screen, you can see the northern edges of Monroe County and Lamar counties. And then if we take it over just to the east and the southeast, you probably will remember that we were talking about the warnings yesterday morning, and those warning boxes extended into the southern part of Jasper County, into the northern part of Jasper County, even clipped some of the edges of northeast Monroe County, maybe northwestern Jones County. So areas like Berner, Juliet, Round Oak, Hillsboro, Monticello. Those were names that I was kind of shouting out yesterday during our severe weather coverage. But the actual confirmed tornado was just about from here to here. So it didn't quite make it into central Georgia, at least our viewing area. It was more of the metro Atlanta area. But whenever we have a tornado warning, that means it is a tornado warned storm. There is a rotation indicated on the radar, whether that's higher aloft or on the ground. We're obviously going to continue to keep you updated if it entails any of our central Georgia areas. But thankfully, haven't received too many reports besides a couple trees down around the Jackson area and up in Jasper County, where it did get quite messy for just a little bit. So now let's take it over to our 48-hour rainfall totals. How much rain did this line, I guess you could say? It was once a line of thunderstorms, but it really broke apart the farther south that it moved, and you'll see that reciprocated here on our rainfall totals map. Around the Jackson area, maybe about 0.8 of an inch, closer to an inch of rain. Northeast Monroe County actually got closer to 2 inches in some spots, but downtown Forsyth, only about a 1/2 inch of rain. Just over a 1/2 inch of rain, just shy of an inch over in Thomaston. Same story for Monticello. Actually, Eatonton, areas of eastern Eatonton, close to 3 inches of rain, giving you an idea of those locally heavy amounts. If you start to get a thunderstorm that really intensifies and those rain rates get really, really heavy, that's when we start to talk about those dark reds, those maroons, maybe some of those pink shades that can also be indicative of a hail core, but they also are going to have their fair share of very heavy rainfall in a short period of time. And then you will notice a lot of green splotches up here in our north and northeastern corridor around Lake Oconee, moving into the northern half of Hancock County. This was a thunderstorm that actually did get a severe thunderstorm warning just as it was exiting the northeast edge of Hancock County. And obviously you can see where those rainfall totals are just over the county line of Hancock County over into Warren County. About 3 inches of rain just there across the county line. I believe that's around the Jewel area right there on the county line between Hancock and Warren County. But then just 1 county south, not even a ½ inch of rain in Sandersville, about 1 inch, a little over 1 inch in areas like Gordon and Irwinton and Wilkinson County, Milledgeville just over a ½ inch. Downtown Gray, maybe somewhere just shy of 1 inch, about 7/10 of an inch. But right here on the Jones and Bibb County line, we did see some totals that were around 2 inches. That's around the North Macon area, maybe just off into the woods or on the other side of the Ocmulgee River. And then down 75, you do see this 0.6 mark. That's actually going to be really close to Middle Georgia Regional Airport. We'll actually get into the totals there in just 1 second. And then Crawford County, close to 2 inches in some spots. But if we are to take it farther down to the south, which I thought I made that little graphic go down a little bit. Not going to pinpoint some of the locations on this. I'm just going to move this farther down to the south so you can get an idea of some of the totals. But the big thing I want to show you is this. You will see some shades without any little bit of a light blue hue whatsoever, like Dooley County, southern Pulaski County, some areas of Telfair County over to Montgomery County, showing you how scattered that rain did get in nature, indicating that that line, it did once pack a punch and it was pretty widespread. Everyone was getting some form of rain up in the northern portion of the state. It got a lot thinner and it got a lot weaker as it moved into central Georgia. And then eventually by the time we got to our southernmost counties, you may not have lucked out with any sort of rain whatsoever, not even enough to record a trace in nature. But some areas of Houston County, right here on the line of Pulaski and Bleckley, where right here, Bleckley and Dodge, you can see some patches of green up in Fort Valley as well. That's indicating rain above the inch mark, maybe getting close to 2 inches of rain as well. But areas like Wilcox County, Pulaski, Dooley, and our southern extent, they didn't really luck out with much. There was a good cluster of thunderstorms that started going over kind of towards the east, southeast, around Fort Valley, up in Houston County, all the way down into portions of Lawrence County. And then another cluster popped up just around the Americus area on the line of Lee County. And it did try to move across parts of Crisp County, but it continued to move down kind of towards the southwest corner of the county as you get down into Worth County around the Warwick area, just there south of Lake Blackshear. So that's a look at what happened. Let's take a look at what's going to happen for the rest of the work week. That front that was driving all of that active weather yesterday morning, it did finally usher in some slightly drier air yesterday afternoon. And along with that came a bit of a breeze. It was pretty windy yesterday afternoon. So those are going to be the two things probably impacting your forecast for today, tomorrow, more so just today. That's when we're really looking at the extent of the winds. They will calm down for the weekend. Drier air is still going to make its presence known, not only from this front, but we have another one to talk about as we head into tomorrow. There will be some scattered rain chances, not saying that everyone in central Georgia is going to be completely dry for the next couple of days. It is a warmer time of the year, so you know we do like to talk about these isolated and these scattered showers, maybe even a thunderstorm or two. So some of those are still in the forecast, but still mostly dry for just about everyone in central Georgia heading into the beginning of the weekend, but starting to become more widespread as we go into the beginning of next week. Hopefully it will at least hold off until next week, even after next Monday, maybe next Tuesday, at giving everyone some much needed rain at that point and hold off for a nice and dry Memorial Day weekend. So all 4 of our sky cams right now, Georgia National Fairgrounds, clear blue skies. Saw a lot of people there just about an hour and a half ago. I do imagine there's probably some graduation practices going on because Houston County students will be graduating. I believe it's tomorrow and Saturday. They have to go over the course of 2 days because I have 5 high schools down there in Houston County, and that's a couple hundred kids per each high school that you have to call out all of their names. It does take probably about 2 or 3 hours from a personal testament right there. Downtown Macon, clear blue skies. Everything is looking good. All the roads have dried up from any wet roads that we did have yesterday. We had a whole day of sunshine to allow that water at the surface to evaporate back up. Warner Robins up here at Central Georgia Technical College, taking a look at some of these trees right here. You can see them swaying back and forth, indicating that the winds are probably building into the forecast as soon as right now. And then downtown Dublin, where it looks like the lunch traffic crowd hasn't quite got going yet, so a good time to head out the door down in Lawrence County if you have to run any errands. Temperatures, we're looking at mid 70s, some upper 70s, even one lone 80 down in Rochelle currently. These were the story of the morning. It was feeling kind of chilly in some areas. Dublin has actually seen somewhat of about a 26-degree temperature increase from their lowest temperature on the map this morning. Dublin got down to 53 degrees. Our fair share of areas made it well down into the 50s. Most areas were hovering somewhere in the upper 50s or the low 60s, however. Still some of the cooler temperatures that we have seen as of recently. So I was talking about that cooler and that drier air getting ushered in behind the frontal boundary. Actually, we're really going to feel the cooler air per se, more so in the morning hours as opposed to the afternoon hours. We will see a little bit of a temperature drop, although it is still going to feel relatively warm. We now have Cordele joining the 80-degree party down in our southern counties. Did just see an update right there. Most areas around 77, 78, or 79 degrees heading to the 11 a.m. hour. How about the dew points? This is also the major talking point right now. We had plenty of humidity over the last couple of days. We saw these shades of the very muggy air, dew point temperatures that were 70, 75, 76 degrees. So that front obviously had a lot of surface moisture to work with as it did pass through. But after it passed through, it cleared all those shades out besides a couple of reminiscent areas of that light green. Still only seeing dew point temperatures at the max, maybe about 62 degrees over there in Dublin, just indicating that there is a little bit of moisture in the air. However, we still have another reinforcing shot of some drier air as we go into the next couple of days. So the feels like temperatures are going to be very accurate of what they actually read temperature-wise, not going to be dealing with much in the way of heat indices over today and tomorrow. Some areas may be feeling a degree or two warmer if you do have a little bit of moisture in the air. However, it is looking like we do have a lot less humidity in the forecast than what we did have. We're taking a turn for the good, honestly. So finally some drier air. It's going to be a drier warmth in the afternoons as opposed to that swampy heat that can make it feel quite sticky outside. So how about the winds and the wind gusts? We were just referring to that, and we're already seeing some gusts, maybe up to 14, 17 miles per hour, areas like Milledgeville, Thomaston, and over into Butler in our western counties. That that yellow color that you see up to the north and the northwest of us, that's going to continue to build in across most of our northern counties. So it is going to be a little bit gustier the farther north that you live today. I'll show you that on the future view winds and wind gusts in just a little bit. But everyone will at least have a steady breeze at times, maybe upwards to about 10 to 15 miles per hour, like we're currently seeing. 10 mile per hour sustained winds in Cochrane, 12 mile per hour sustained winds in Butler, and 13 mile per hour sustained winds in Thomaston. And once again, the sustained winds are the constant speed that those winds are going to be blowing at. That yellow number that you see on the right, those are the occasional gusts. So that's not what the winds are blowing at consistently. You'll just get a gust every now and then that is a little bit faster than what the winds are consistently blowing at. Satellite and radar picture. We had no clouds early this morning. We had clouds built in during the later morning hours, and now they are out of the picture. So nice and clear and sunny skies is what you're seeing and you're walking out the door to here in central Georgia, which is a very, very good sign. We'll kind of zoom it out and take a picture of the entire state of Georgia, where northern Georgia looks like they saw actually a couple of showers early this morning, maybe around the Gainesville, Lake Lanier areas, getting into the North Georgia mountains. These areas to the north are actually going to have a couple of rain chances over the next couple of days. Us down here, a little bit farther to the south on I-75, not going to have the same forecast as them over the next couple of days. So surface map, what's going on right now? And number one, you are going to see that the front that passed through yesterday, it still does linger to the south. It's actually somewhere on the peninsula of Florida, but it has passed through. So you can see that there actually is high pressure that's continuing to slide eastward and is continuing to dry our atmosphere out. But what's on the way? Another frontal boundary is actually going to be on its way. Now, before you get your hopes up for more rain or you start thinking, oh, this is going to bring another wide round of showers and some thunderstorms, not looking to do that. We're already pretty dry right now, so this front isn't going to have much to work with. But some more high pressure is going to be on its way. So like I said, another reinforcing shot of some cooler and drier air is going to be what is in store behind this frontal boundary, and then that's going to kind of set the stage as we go into the end of the weekend into the beginning of next week. This front isn't necessarily going to push as far down south as the one that did yesterday. So over here where you do see the stationary boundary, a low pressure center is eventually going to form, and it's going to slide to the east along this boundary, and that in turn is also going to create some rain chances as we go into the beginning of next week. And it could be one of those periods like we had about 2 weeks ago where it's kind of on again and off again rain, but there are rain chances and maybe even some thunderstorm chances each day for an extended period of time until that center of low pressure kind of gets out of here. So yesterday's almanac, we hit a high of 88 degrees yesterday. Take a look at that morning low, 65 degrees. I'm shocked that we even got down that far because temperatures were in the 70s, even the upper 70s for most of the morning before that front finally moved through and the rain did cool us down just a touch. So above average for the low yesterday and 1 degree above average for the high temperature yesterday. Nowhere near these records, and that is going to continue to be good news. However, with some of the morning lows that we have forecasted, I mean, if Dublin got down to 53 degrees today, and I don't even expect it to be the coolest day over the next 3 days, we might see a 4 in front of some of those numbers on the temperature map. Just kind of preparing you, going to have a bit of a chill in the air around that sunrise time. Just think of it as another opportunity and kind of a blessing to break out that favorite quarter zip or that favorite hoodie pullover. I know that's what I'm going to do myself, but if you don't like the cooler air, just wait a couple hours until after sunrise in order to get up and get out and get about. And then it's going to feel much warmer. You're going to get temperatures in the 70s pretty quick, and it's going to feel pretty pleasant like we're already seeing right now. So Middle Georgia Regional Airport, we were talking about that on the rainfall totals map. About 0.2 of an inch of rain yesterday. So we have seen this number drop very slightly, but that 0.2 of an inch of rain, it is better than nothing. So that did allow for that number to go back up a little more above average. So still hovering about a half inch of rain above average for this time of year. Sunrise yesterday was around 6:32 in the morning. Sunset yesterday about 8:31 in the evening. And yes, we finally got a good glimpse of at least the sunset yesterday. Got some beautiful images of that sunrise today, which was probably around 6:31 or so. Actually, we can tell you right here, what was it? 6:31 right there on the dot. So today is still going to be a warm day. Don't get me wrong, the temperature's not going to see much influence, at least in the afternoon hours, but less humidity and that steady breeze are going to make it feel a lot more pleasant outside. Very similar to how it felt during the later portions of yesterday afternoon into the evening hours. Plenty of sunshine is going to crowd the picture, but a high temperature still right there around average, maybe a degree or two warmer. I don't quite think we make it to the 90s in many areas in central Georgia today, but of course some of our southern counties, a little bit farther south down here, you typically do run a degree, 2 or 3 warmer than the rest of the bunch when we get into these summertime months, or I guess not quite summertime yet, but we know in central Georgia, once you get to the month of May, it basically is the start of summer. Kids are already graduating high school this weekend. Summer break is about to ensue in full force. So your heat index today, this is going to be the story too. Obviously upper 80s, still fairly warm, but it doesn't necessarily have that swampy, muggy feeling. And these temperatures are going to be actually pretty reminiscent of what the actual temperatures are. So the heat index temperature not going to be a couple degrees above what your actual temperature reads, like the other day where we were talking temperatures into 90, 91, 92 that felt more like 95, 96, 97. Not the case today, not the case tomorrow, and in fact not the case for Friday. So let's go through future views, see if we do have another rain chance on the horizon. Can't let our guard down during this time of the year because we know those rain chances pop up more frequently. However, it is looking mostly dry today, so continue to get the most out of these dry and sunny days. Now as we go into early morning tomorrow, you will see plenty of rain up here to the north and the northeast of us. This is actually going to be the frontal boundary that I was talking about, that secondary boundary that's going to try to push through, and it might have a little bit of moisture to work with, and you can see maybe even result in a thunderstorm or two up here just across the state line going up I-20 over there into South Carolina. Not looking like it's going to come here into central Georgia according to this future view model run. I wouldn't be surprised if we see a scattered shower or two, but that's all we're really looking at it to be the extent of. Most areas going to remain dry, and if you do receive rain, not going to be necessarily some active and rowdy weather like what we saw yesterday. And you can see actually picking up on this as the front pushes farther to the south as we warm up on Friday afternoon. This is new as of the latest model run. So I've still gone with about a 10. We might up it to about a 20% chance of rain on Friday. But like I said, more likely than not, you aren't going to deal with any rain whatsoever. 20% chance of rain still means there's an 80% chance that you don't see anything. Saturday morning going to start out nice and mostly clear, it looks like, and then throughout your Saturday afternoon, still looking like a beautiful day for any of the graduation festivities, anything that you have going on, maybe taking a trip up to the lake for Memorial Day weekend. Looking good to go weather-wise for Saturday. And then as far as future view goes, is overnight into early morning on Sunday, and you can see some weather, maybe something of the thunderstorm variety, but more so just some scattered rain trying to push close to us here, maybe our western counties at the very most. This is still pretty far out. We're going to see the models fluctuate a good bit, especially when you have very isolated pockets of rain like this on the model runs. These are going to change very drastically. Continue to stay updated, but right now it's still looking more like an overnight early morning thing. You'll probably be fast asleep in bed if we are dealing with anything of some rain as we go into the early morning hours on Sunday. So future view wind gusts, we said we were going to talk about that. That yellow shade that you can see to the north and the northwest of us, that's going to be more widespread the farther north and the farther northeast that you live throughout today. Obviously, some of the winds are going to be a little gustier up in areas like Athens and northeast Georgia, but down here in central Georgia, an occasional gust around 20, maybe a little bit above 20 miles per hour is possible, but not looking to be necessarily that gusty the farther south that you live. And really South Georgia, not seeing anything in the way of these gusty winds, just a steady breeze about 5 to 10 miles per hour at times. Then the winds as we go into Friday are actually still looking to take a little bit of a step down. This is where you kind of get more into your nice pleasant breeze area, especially with the drier air that we'll have in place. Maybe an occasional gust up to 15, close to 20 depending on where you do live. I think this is picking up on possibly some of those isolated showers in nature down in our southern counties that you just saw. Don't quite know if that's going to actually happen, but the winds obviously would be a little bit gustier if you are to encounter some rain, maybe something of the low end thunderstorm nature tomorrow. So day by day, what's your humidity going to do? Still going to remain dry and still going to remain at comfortable levels. You can see today is actually higher than the next 2 days because we will have that secondary front driving through tomorrow. So that's going to continue to drop down those humidity levels and really not allow the muggy air to rebound until we get into the end of your weekend. We start to see an uptick on Sunday into Monday into Tuesday into Wednesday. So it does look like those dew points will get back somewhere in the 60s, somewhere in the 70s, and that's where you start to have your noticeable humidity. And then of course the 70s, the dark green colors, that's what we don't want. And I like to call it the Shrek Swamp area because it definitely does feel like Shrek Swamp out there. If you do get to dew points in the 70s, it is very, very muggy, that air that you can wear we refer to. So today we'll see that humidity fluctuate. We'll see some shades of that light green. However, after that front does push through, it looks like later tomorrow, you can see that drier air trying to push down. However, it doesn't necessarily cover all of central Georgia. So the farther north that you live, like we were talking about with the winds today, as we go into the weekend, you are going to have some drier air present than areas farther down to the south. But we play it all the way out until we go to the end overnight into early morning Sunday. At least that dark green color does stay down to the west of us along the Gulf Coast and off the Atlantic coast of the state of Georgia and Florida and South Carolina. So still not looking like bad humidity over the next couple of days. That's the biggest story. But then as we get to Sunday, we start to see a little bit of that rebound in moisture content and temperature-wise as well. That's when we're looking at some scattered rain chances, maybe even some thunderstorms to be possible. It looks starting later on Sunday possibly, but this is still going to kind of be that rain that likes to pop up during the warmest portion of the day when you have all that surface heating that's going to contribute to the rising motion of all that moisture at the surface. So that's why you see kind of blobs just about everywhere all across the southeast, and that's when that low pressure center over to the west is going to continue to slide over here to the east, and that's going to create rain chances for your Memorial Day, more than likely for the day after, and the day after that very possibly. So if we go according to this right now, the European is hinting at the rain staying around a little bit longer than the GFS is. But overall, the entire southeast just looks to be kind of a muggy mess. So that's what we're going to continue to monitor in terms of rain chances. Short range future view is going to give us a better idea of how intense that rain is going to be. Is it going to be of the thunderstorm nature, anything severe in nature? As of right now, we're not in any outlooks looking ahead. It does just look like mainly rain chances, but if we are to see an uptick in activity and an uptick in coverage, then you will see the chances of rain that I have on the 7-day forecast reflected accordingly as we go into the extended part of your forecast. But nothing to worry about in the short term. Today, tomorrow, and Saturday, chance of seeing an isolated shower. Wouldn't even rule out a rumble of thunder, but the temperatures are going to be feeling absolutely amazing. Somewhere in the 80s for high temperatures, and they actually will feel like those numbers that you do see for high temperatures. Even a step or two lower for Friday and Saturday, highs around 85 and 86. Then we're making a quick rebound back up to the 90s. This is all going to depend on how much cloud cover and rain that we may have in the forecast. If we stay nice and dry, we don't have too many clouds blocking that sunlight, then that's going to contribute to that warm up above the 90-degree mark. Same story for Monday, but if that rain does arrive a little bit before the warmest portion of the day, then of course that's going to cool the temperatures down a little bit. We may only have highs somewhere in the 70s. So when you get these scattered rain chances during this time of the year, it's kind of hard to pinpoint the exact high temperature. You need the conditions to be very perfect. And with kind of the pop-up nature of these heat of the day showers and storms, it does make it a little bit hard to predict at times too. The morning lows, not only today, but tomorrow and Saturday mornings, we're still going to notice a little bit of a chill in the air. Obviously, temperatures in the 50s are not cold by any means, but it's cooler than what we have been feeling. So you've kind of gotten used to these morning temperatures in the 60s, 70s. It's a pretty humid start to each and every day. So this is going to feel a step lower than that. If it is a little too cold for your liking, go ahead and crank up the car before heading outside, turn on the heat a little bit, and probably only going to need about 2 to 3 minutes of that heat blowing, and then you'll probably be fine. You'll warm up accordingly. And then as we go into the end of your weekend, those morning lows are back up into the 60s, going to be a little bit muggy outside as well. So it's just a brief period where we see temperatures a little bit cooler than what they usually are and hovering below average. You see that average low about 62 degrees this time of year. So obviously down into the 50s is definitely going to meet the criteria of below average. So here goes your 7-day forecast piece by piece. There is not much to complain about whatsoever. We may see a change in the percentage of that rain. Ben may come in and throw a 20% on it because I saw what the model said last night when he came in, but then they had absolutely nothing for when I came in for Friday. Now they're back to showing maybe some scattered rain. Wouldn't even rule out a thunderstorm or two. Mainly going to be of the low-end thunderstorm criteria. It's just that time of year. We live in central Georgia. We're surrounded by the Atlantic. We're surrounded by the Gulf. All that moisture can combine, and of course that can create some sporadic rain chances each and every day, but still going to be a pleasant afternoon, and like I said, going to be scattered in nature if we see anything. So that is going to be good. Most areas going to remain dry, hopefully for graduations. Saturday actually looking like an amazing day as well. Bit of a chilly start each and every day, but paired up with some drier air, so not going to have that humidity in the forecast as we head into the beginning of your weekend. Then we get back to kind of what Memorial Day normally does look like here in central Georgia. Low 90s for high temperatures, a little bit of humidity back in the forecast, some scattered rain chances. Nothing set in stone right now for Sunday and Monday. I just think that that's when we see a little bit of an uptick in the chances for rain, a little bit better than what we have in store for the next couple of days. And then the chances for next Tuesday and Wednesday are even better than Sunday and Monday. So the timing of the rain is still a little bit up in the air, but I think the coverage is a little bit better for Tuesday and Wednesday. As we get closer, these percentages will probably go up depending on what the short range models give us in terms of how much coverage we are exactly expecting from this rain. And if temperatures are still going to hover pretty warm, we're going to have moisture in the forecast, then we may throw some thunderstorm icons on that, not to freak you out, not to say, hey, there's going to be severe weather that day. We will let you know the specific details if that is going to happen, like with the outlooks we showed over the last couple of days. Once you get in this time of year, it's kind of your run-of-the-mill thunderstorms. Going to be pretty scattered in nature, going to dump a bunch of rain on you very quickly, and then it's going to start to weaken and dissipate. It's going to use up all of those ingredients that it can use in order to continue to strengthen and roll on through. So we'll continue to keep you updated as we get there, but right now I would just say plan on a little bit of a wet end to your Memorial Day holiday. Make sure you have that rain jacket and that umbrella very ready to go, because Monday going to be a big travel day, I imagine, for many of you, stopping at the gas station, having to go somewhere, taking all your luggage outside from wherever you're staying. You're going to want to try to keep it dry any way that you can, and kind of consider this your initial warning that we are looking at some better rain chances for the end of the weekend. But if you're worried about that, just go ahead and push those plans to earlier in the weekend, because Friday and Saturday are going to be very splendid for outdoor plans that you do have.